All right, it's your boy Fanon. Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Terence Crawford and Bob Arum and what happened at the press conference last night. Bud Crawford, applause, fronts out Bob Arum in a beautiful fashion and runs off into the sunset, and a sunset that more than likely got a lot of money for him. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. So Bud Crawford knocks out Shawn Porter to defend his WBO title last night. A lot of people thought he did terrifically in the fight. I thought it was a very, very good fight. And he proved that, something that we already knew, but he proved it in the sense that it's actually on paper now, which is that he could beat a top, elite welterweight in Shawn Porter. Does it in dramatic fashion, even though I think there's a lot of people that think the stoppage was premature. It was definitely premature in that Shawn Porter could have continued to fight, but it still would have wound up with him getting a knockout more than likely, if not in the 11th, in the 12th. It was going to happen. However, it is what it is. He won the fight. But what I want to talk about in this video, though, and before I get into it, make sure you hit the like button and share the video. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you help me grow the channel, is that Terence Crawford said something that I've been wanting to hear from Terence Crawford for a long time. For you guys that think that I hate on Terence Crawford, you're wrong. I do not. Only issue that you guys have with me on Terence Crawford is what I think in relation between Terence Crawford and Arum Spence Jr. Arum Spence Jr.'s style for me beats Terence Crawford, but I am not confused. I know Terence Crawford is a very, very good very good fighter. And I also know that there's a chance that I may be wrong about the outcome of Arum Spence Jr. That's just the way that I see it. However, this particular move by Terence Crawford I'm not going to do anything but celebrate it. Because, at the end of the day, I do want to see Terence Crawford treated fairly. I want to see him be able to get the fights that a guy of his skill level and his accomplishments deserve. And that was not happening over there in Top Rank. So, and the fashion which Bud did it, I thought was funny because I think it was Dan Rayfield, maybe it wasn't, but it was one of those established boxing writers, asked him what he was going to do next. What comes into play as far as making your decision about what you're going to do now that your contract has run out with Top Rank. So he says that he believes, and it was funny because if you watch, I'm a big believer in watching people's body language. And when he was saying it, his chair, he had his back to Bob Arum. So and I don't believe that is, like I said, body language, your body talks too. And you could see he had turned his chair, and he is a swivel chair, and he swiveled it to the other side, and he said, look, man, I think my decision's already made up. Bob wasn't able to get me the Arum Spence Jr. fight when I was with Bob. So if I'm not with Bob, how's he going to help me secure that fight, right? If I'm not signed with him, why do I need Bob to make that fight with me and Arum Spence Jr.? And more than likely he's right, because he just talked to Al Heyman as an independent guy, or his advisor, who is Daniel Kinahan, who is not the people that I talk to are very adamant that he's not involved with MTK Global. However, he definitely is a sports advisor. So, and he also has a lot of pull in the sports game, no matter what you want to say. He knows how to cut deals, all that good stuff. So with him, and he has Terence Crawford has another management group that he signed with not long ago. They can just negotiate the deal with Al Heyman and the PBC themselves, and they don't need Bob, right? But the thing that I like about it is that it just, that Terence Crawford is not doing it too late in his career. And actually, as of right now, it's probably a very, very good time to do it. I don't think Terence Crawford's stock has been any higher than it is right now. Maybe arguably after he had won the undisputed title at 100 140 pounds, maybe people could say his stock was higher then, but I don't think so because he did not have the Errol Spence Jr. fight as leverage. And say what you want, I don't know how the mainstream media doesn't treat it like this, but from what I can see, the Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford fight is the biggest fight in boxing. Now, I'm not saying that it is that either Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Crawford are the biggest fighters in boxing, but I'm saying that fight, that matchup, is the biggest fight in boxing. And if you look, and the reason why I say that is, number one, it is a fight that can sell in Vegas. You can look at fights like, Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, right? Is a big fight in the UK. If they take that to the UK and put that in a 70,000 seat arena, right? Something like that, you're still not going to get the gate that you get out of a Vegas gate, right? And that's just a known fact. These guys with a lot less people with the ridiculous prices that they're charging, right? For example, the Canelo Alvarez fight against Caleb Plant, which I do not think the tickets or the ticket prices are going to be anywhere near like they would be with an Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. You couldn't get in the building for a nosebleed for less than $700, right? If this is a fight, like if it was a Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao fight, you're probably not gonna get in the building for any less than $5,000, right? That's just how those Vegas things go. And this Errol Spence Jr. fight and Terence Crawford has been brewing and brewing and brewing for years. These guys have had a lead up into this fight similar to the Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather fight, where now you could say about how late that happened or whatever. Look, it didn't lose. That Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao fight did not happen so late that money wasn't good, right? The money was as big as it would have ever been when that fight happened because it marinated so long, and there was a legitimate beef going on, an argument about who was going to win that fight, right? Now, this Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, people may not say that these are the two that this is for the pound for pound best fighter in the world, but honestly, it really should be considered to be that, because you're not going to see, or let me put it this way, it might as well be one, because you're not going to see Canelo Alvarez in a competitive fight with anybody. Matter of fact, his fan base there's literally nobody in boxing that people are saying will make a big fight with Canelo. It's just, he does not have a big fight at cruiserweight. He doesn't have a big fight at 175 pounds. The biggest fight that I can see, as far as monetarily the biggest fight for Canelo Alvarez, is if somebody like Errol Spence Jr. moved up to 168 or 160 or something like that, and they got it a catch weight, or maybe the Jermall Charlo fight. But really, it's not a lot out there for him as far as making a fight that could really be $150 million fight, because I think that's what the Terence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. fight could be, especially if they have a lead into it. And I'm sure that when Terence Crawford leaves, and if he manages and he has conversations with Al Heyman, and they have conversations however that works, that's more than likely what's going to happen. You'll probably have Errol Spence Jr. fight one other guy, Terence Crawford fight another guy. They would probably at some point in time have a face-off and make that fight. So him leaving Top Rank, this is probably a really, really good time for him. And also, however, that's not saying that Terence Crawford couldn't have already been there early on in his career if Top Rank and Bob Arum had really invested in him and really gave him the promotional push that they gave other people. He was behind. I mean, if you really look at how the promotion that Bob Arum put behind him, man, he was behind Lomachenko. Manny Pacquiao was understandable. So he's behind Manny Pacquiao. Then he was behind Lomachenko. He's behind Teofimo Lopez. And he's behind Tyson Fury. He's like the best fighter for that promotional company, but at the same time got like fifth man treatment. So anyway, I'm happy to see that he's doing it. I can't wait to see what's going to transpire. I, of course, like Errol Spence Jr. over him in the fight, but that does not mean that I'm not wishing that man well. And I don't know that this dude really still has real true greatness in his reach, especially if he were to be able to beat Errol Spence. He fights a Jermell Charlo, somehow gets his hands on a Canelo Alvarez fight. It's really right there for Terence Crawford. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.